My name is Gina Oliveri, and in January of this year I was lucky enough to visit Project Sierra, based in Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone is a really small country in the west of Africa. It has a tropical climate which is really hot and dusty, as evidenced by the muck that came off my face in the picture shown here. It has a population of about 6.4 million and an HDI ranking, which is the Human Development Index ranking, of about 180th out of 182 countries. So in other words, it's the third worst performing country on measures such as infant mortality and maternal health. Its gross domestic product is about 4.3 billion or $725 per capita from 2008. By comparison, Australia is around about the $800 billion mark around that time, or about $36,000 to $38,000 per capita in that time as well. So it really is a very poor country. It has an interesting mix of Muslim, African, Indigenous, and Christian religions, which is sometimes seen in the fact that you'll have a Muslim leader get up and give prayers at the start of an event, and everyone does all the Muslim prayers, and then someone else will stand up and do a Christian prayer, and all the same people will stand up and do both. So it's a really interesting mix that I saw. And Sierra Leone, unfortunately, is probably best known for its devastating and brutal civil war that took place between 1991 and 2002, something that the country is still coming to grips with. The project I visited is a partnership between Soroptimist International, which is a worldwide service organisation for women, and Hope and Homes for Children, who are based in the UK. Together, these two organisations came up with Project Sierra, A Family and a Future. Project Sierra aims to work with at-risk street children, teenage mothers and families at risk of breakdown, to provide them with educational opportunities and vocational training so that they can become self-sufficient or withstand things like breakdown, so keeping families together. And on the ground, this is administered by an organisation called HANSI, or Help a Needy Child in Sierra Leone. So for me, a typical day on tour involved lots of driving through various terrains. Sometimes it was very dusty. We could go through really tiny villages over really potholed roads. Other times we were in sort of slightly more urban settings with better roads and more buildings and things like that. Sometimes we had to cross rivers on some quite ingenious little boats, and other times our cars broke down and we had some unexpected opportunities to have a look at the local countryside, due to things such as very, very, very punctured tyres. But when we got to the villages, we were welcomed really warmly, and it was just amazing that every place we went to, our greeting looked something like this. It seemed like absolutely everybody in the whole community came to greet us, and there was lots of drumming and singing and dancing and shaking hands and carrying on, which was really nice. At one place we were greeted with a big long line of children who were looked after by HANSI, and they were lined up to show us the extent of the orphan crisis in the particular village we were in. When we got to the project sites, we were shown around the facilities. They were all a little bit different, but they all had roughly the same sort of programs running. So for example, in this picture you can see that there's a daycare centre, and this was one of the funniest experiences that we had on the tour. We went to the daycare centre and had a look at the nursery, and the nursery is there so that teenage mothers can have their children looked after while they receive an education. So it's a really important thing, but and we decided we would go in and meet all the little tiny babies and, you know, play with them and stuff. And soon we go, and as soon as we walked in, this first little kid looked up at us and just started to scream with fear. This kid was just absolutely terrified of us. And so we're all trying really hard to soothe them and say, hey, hello, it's okay, we're friendly, it's fine. And of course, once one little kid starts screaming, they all started screaming, and before long they were all crying and absolutely terrified. So we did, you know, what we thought was the reasonable thing and just sort of slowly backed out of the room, because evidently our presence wasn't particularly well received. And we found out later that the reason they were all crying and scared was that the only time these babies ever see white people is when they're doctors and they come to give them injections. So they thought that we were there to give them injections and they were scared of the needles. So that's why they were so terrified of us. Other times in the tour, you know, we didn't always cause fear and anxiety wherever we went. In the top right picture, you can see we visited some girls who were doing sewing classes, and this is their teacher showing off some of the designs that the girls had made. The girls in the programs learn skills like sewing, like hairdressing and things like that, so that they can earn themselves an income and support themselves and their babies later on. And the bottom right hand picture shows me bonding with a goat. We were actually given a couple of goats when we went to Tambaka in the north, which was the most remote village by far. And yeah, everyone was so thrilled to have us there, and you know, it was kind of a token of their appreciation that we were given these goats. And a lot of the ladies on the tour thought that they were kind of figurative goats, and we weren't actually taking them. But sure enough, we piled the goats into the back of one of the cars and took them away. And I think we left them at one of the other villages that we visited, because I don't think we would have got them through customs otherwise. These pictures show some of the other things that the girls learn to do in the program at Hansi as part of Project Sierra. So they learn things like hairdressing, they learn how to, you know, do nail art and things like that. And the bottom pictures show them doing tie-dye and also batik. So they sit there, you know, tying the twine onto the fabric and dyeing it and painting on the wax and all that sort of stuff to make these fabrics. And these are all skills that the girls can use to earn an income later on. What was really sweet is that one of the program managers for Hansi, her name's Lois, she gets her hair done by the girls in the program. So during the week we were there, she had a couple of different hairstyles and each one was done by the girls in the program. While we were there, we also were really lucky to be a part of Stroptonus International of Freetown's day, where they went and commissioned a well that had been built at a school for disabled children. So we went and visited the children and saw the school and saw the well, and we were very lucky to be able to be part of the ceremony to sort of do the ceremonial first pumping of the water. And luckily for us, water came out, which was very good. And it was really great to see that, you know, something as simple as a well was going to make life a lot easier for the staff and the children at this school. They wouldn't have to go for a big long walk to go find water. They could just pump it straight from their own pump at their school on the school grounds. So that was really awesome. So that was the end of Project Sierra study tour for me. This picture shows one of the beautiful sunsets in Sierra Leone. It really is a gorgeous place, and I'm so glad I got to go. If you have any questions, feel free to post them as comments, and I'll do my best to get back to them on this video's page. Thank you.